it is me. I'm back. And today I'm making a cheetah habitat, an animal I mistakenly called a big cat in my 100-year zoo video. And while it is indeed a large feline, some might even say a big cat, it is not actually categorized with the big cats, if you know what I mean. Apparently it meows instead of roaring, I suppose. So after claiming possession of a pair of cheetahs, I made this curvy little path and set up a wooden barrier with null barriers along the back and glass across the viewing area, after which I added a water source and had the cheetahs brought to the habitat. And then it was rock time, because I needed to cover up the back null barrier before one of the cheetahs explored a little too far, and so I used desert and red desert rocks to accomplish that. And then because it's become one of my favorite things to do here recently, I added a waterfall. I also briefly considered adding this rock overhang sort of situation, but it just wasn't doing it for me, so I deleted it before pulling up the nature tab to start adding the greenery, adding some doom palms along with a few coconut palms. Before continuing on with the foliage, I wanted to get the shelters in place, so I pulled up the construction tab and used the base of the tree to act as the support for the shelter roof. I also repainted it to green because the blue didn't fit the aesthetic I was going for. I placed a few small shelter areas around before pulling out the greenery again to add some vegetation along the top of the shelters, because I thought it looked fun. Also, I hope you didn't think I was going to leave the rock wall alone, because that would be borderline criminal. Every good rock wall needs bushes sunk into it, in my opinion. And maybe a few trees, too, if you're feeling zesty. And I was feeling decidedly zesty, so I sunk a few trees into it. I decided to start decorating the ground of the habitat next, using these grass pieces all over the place. And after adding a few more plants around, their coverage needs were over what they wanted. So I tried to move the null barrier forward to remove some of the plants sunken into the rocks from the coverage count. And it wasn't below their coverage once, but it was good enough for me. So I moved on to adding feeding trays, bedding, and their food and toy enrichment, after which I pulled up the terrain tab and started by adding short grass around all the plants, followed by soil along areas that I could imagine getting the most foot traffic. I placed long grass along the edge of any short grass I had added, and rock terrain along the rock barrier, after which I lowered the intensity of my terrain tool and sprinkled the whole habitat with short grass, going in after the fact to add the rest of the long grass they wanted, finishing it off by bringing back a little bit of sand and soil. And with the inside of the habitat done, it was time to decorate the outside, starting by changing the middle piece of my one-way glass to wood and adding an education board. That was upside down, of course, so I had to flip it. I placed education speakers and added a cluster of staff buildings behind the habitat, which included a generator so that the speakers were actually working. And it was looking quite good if I do say so myself. But I wasn't done. I went into the construction tab and found these leaves that I placed around the barrier, after which I had to go through and individually change them all to this green color, because I didn't think to change the color before I placed all of them down. I also found these cheetah signs that I placed in every other blank space, that I also had to change the color of after placing them, because I love making the same mistake at least twice. And that was it for this habitat. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did enjoy watching, maybe consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.